We have talked about the economic effects of the coronavirus pandemic on companies and individuals, of course. There was a recent New York Times article that focused on the cost of getting a vaccine. They're supposed to be free, but there could be a price for many, many people. And joining us now to talk about this is business and market analyst Seth Denson. Seth, welcome back to the show. This article catching a lot of people by surprise when it came out a day ago. The Pfizer vaccine is now being administered. We expect that Moderna vaccine out a week from now, possibly Monday. Who's actually paying for all of us to get vaccinated?
Well, at the end of the day, the taxpayers are paying for it, right? So the government has allocated, as part of the CARES Act, roughly $6 billion to cover the actual cost of the vaccine itself. Now, understand that $6 billion isn't going to be enough to cover everybody, but it's certainly going to be enough to cover the vaccine cost for some time. That being said, that's just the vaccine cost. There's also costs associated with administering the vaccine, the people that we go see, the facilities that we go to get it. So there's costs associated with that. Now, as part of the CARES Act, that's going to be covered by your health insurance plan. The challenge that you have, though, is your health insurance plan's costs ultimately become your health insurance premiums. So all full circle, you and I are paying for this, as is every other American.
Okay, so I've been tested a few times just for professional reasons, to come in and out of the network. So one time I did get a bill for a test. We were able to clear it up, but one time I got a bill for a test that was supposed to be free. Do you see this happening with people that maybe don't have health insurance or are going to get vaccinated and don't have, proper identification or something like that?
Yeah, I think that it could happen. I don't know that it'll have as much to do with not having health insurance or identification. I think it's going to have more to do with the fact that in our healthcare system, if there's a drip, somebody's going to stick a bucket there. Right. And what I mean by that is there's opportunity in the noise. And sadly, this is a vicious part of our healthcare system. There's always some bad actors out there. And we saw this, as you mentioned, in the testing cycle, where your test would go out, but ultimately the lab that got the test would decide maybe to run tests on other things, maybe strep or flu or bronchitis, and you got balance billed for that. Or in other cases, I went and saw somebody, maybe that physician or that clinician was out of network. So it is possible that people can be balance billed. I don't know that we'll see it as much with the vaccine as we've seen with testing, but we will see it.
Yeah, what a boon if you're particularly Moderna. Pfizer's stock price hasn't gone up a ton, but Moderna stock has gone through the roof. If you bought it a year ago and spent very little money on it, you'd be sitting pretty right now. And the government is basically writing blank checks to these companies. When does that stop, and when do we kind of get control over what we're spending on these vaccines?
Well, the government actually started writing these checks back in June as part of that $6 billion that was allocated. They actually already identified the companies they were going to allocate those contracts to even before there was a vaccine, and understandably so, right? I mean, this is a global pandemic, and the world was going to want to get their hands on it. The U.S. government decided to hedge its bet and go ahead and start putting contracts in place. And so, matter of fact, we've got contracts with companies that haven't even come out with a vaccine yet. So when will the costs change for this or shift? It really depends on how long the virus lasts, how long until we can get to a herd immunity. Until then, though, the costs are going to continue to be there.
Yeah, and of course, everybody wants access to our intellectual property. We developed the vaccine. Americans should have the first crack at it. Seth, thank you very much. Don't forget, Seth has got an article up on Newsmax.com on Amazon's latest business venture. Again, you can find it right on our website, Amazon.com. That is Seth Denson. Seth, thank you.